All right, it's saying we're live. Let me go ahead and click on my channel. Yes, sir. Go ahead and share it if you want. It's just go to my YouTube channel or the YouTube channel. This is gonna be not great video for everybody that's just tuning in, but we'll start in a couple of seconds. All right, we're live. We are live, to my understanding. All right, welcome in. We're back with some NBA trade deadline coverage. You know, the last 2 days have been absolutely crazy in the NBA world, and that comes to a surprise because just about a month ago, I remember seeing a video that Shams came out, or Shams. And he said this was going to be one of the quietest trade deadlines in NBA history, or at least in the last couple of years. And it's been everything but that. So, you know, we believe every domino has fallen, or every big domino that could have fallen has already. But there's still some people out there until 3 o'clock, like John Collins
OG Anunoby.
and OG Anunoby that we can see get traded. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, since we're live for an hour, we have a lot of time to just kill. To be completely honest. And I guess we're just going to sit here until then, and we're just going to talk. We're going to start here. We're going to go through all the trades, and as we get trades live, we'll keep you guys updated. But this season, I don't even know if you knew this, but on January 5th, we had the first trade of the season. Noah Vonleh got traded to the Spurs, which he was then later cut the same day for a second-round pick that was top 55 protected.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
I mean, you might
but
as well.
but that was like a meaningless trade. Like it didn't get coverage anywhere. And then you had January 23rd was the next trade. It was the Rui Hachimura to the Los Angeles Lakers trade. We know the Wizards got Kendrick Nunn in 3 seconds. We've talked about that on the pod, I think.
Yeah.
And we've also talked about the next trade, the Kyrie Irving to Brooklyn for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first in 2 seconds, which we talked about that on last Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know what we have to think about those trades, all of those we talked about in the last couple basketball pods. But what happened?
Eric Gordon is getting traded to the Clippers.
For what?
They don't have what he's getting traded for. He just got traded like 20 seconds ago.
Man, let me update this because this website has everything. Oh, wow. I don't know if you saw that, but the Warriors got 5 second-round picks, and that's wow. Yeah. Atlanta got Sadiq Bey.
Yeah. Atlanta got Sadiq Bey. Detroit got James Wiseman, and the Warriors got the picks.
Yeah, that's actually that caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
But here, let me move this so you can see the live updates as well. I mean, you have your phone, but. Yeah, so you said Eric Gordon got traded to the Clippers. Yes. Immediate thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I mean, you know, the Clippers, you know, obviously with the news of another trade breaking out, or, you know, a few other trades in the West that have happened in the recent hours, I still feel like the Clippers have a good as chance as anybody to make the finals.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, they're just adding. If it's one thing about the Clippers, they always have depth. I mean, last year you saw they didn't have their 2 stars for majority of the season, and if there was no play-in, they would have made the playoffs. And if Paul George doesn't get COVID the day of a second play-in game, they do beat Minnesota, I believe, in that second play-in game. And that was just off of depth alone last year. So when you had the star power, you know, Kawhi is really catching his stride. Paul George is catching his stride after being inconsistent with playing in the beginning of the season. And you had players like Bones Highland and Eric Gordon. You know, it's you know, they're a team to beat.
Right. No. Excuse me. Yeah. No. I mean, we've said it on this podcast before. We think the Clippers are the championship favorites. Yeah. We think they are the team to beat going forward, especially with the Warriors. They've had a lot of injury concerns. Other teams, we just think the Clippers are the most versatile team, and maybe that'll change here in a couple minutes when we talk about the Suns. But yeah, I mean, they got some shooting and they need that.
Yeah,
we got to see what they want to do with John Wall. I think he could still be traded or cut.
He could, yeah.
Which
I
don't know how bad you got to be. I mean, he's only getting paid like $1 million, and they're talking about buying him out. So
I think with the trade of Bones Highland, that's who they kind of got in as that John Wall filler. I think Bones is a terrific shooter from deep, and I feel like that's what they're looking for. A playmaker, a deep shot creator, where I don't think they really have the patience for John Wall to really get his legs up under him, especially if they have championship aspirations. Because due to another trade that happened yesterday, I, as being a Russell Westbrook fan, wanted the Clippers to pick him up, and now that doesn't look likely. So Miami, please make a move for him.
Right. We'll get into that in just a sec. I want to go through the timeline, I guess. On the February 7th, Dwayne Dedmon and a second-round pick was traded to the Spurs for cash considerations. Any thoughts about that? I mean, it's a 13th man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought Dwayne Dedmon was going to get traded, or should have got cut when he threw a massage gun on the court after having a verbal argument with Eric Spoelstra out of all people.
He's a veteran.
Yeah, I don't. He should be out the league, but what do I know? Sitting at home on the couch.
Right. And then February 7th, Kessler Edwards got traded to Sacramento for David. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, to be honest with you. It's just a swap of young talent for the Nets and the Sacramento Kings, who the Nets, we mentioned them once with the Kyrie. We're going to get into a big trade here in just a moment.
Yeah.
On February 9th, Mike Muscala was traded from the Oklahoma City Thunder to the Boston Celtics for Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks. Again, Boston gets more shooting. Mike Muscala. The other night on LeBron's night, didn't he have like 7 threes?
Yeah,
he was killing it, and that's if Boston didn't need more depth, that's what it is for them. It's more depth, and if anything, they can always sit them.
Exactly.
But the biggest trade of this season, so far, without a doubt. Did you see this? Matisse Thybulle got sent to Portland.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
We'll get to that in just a sec. But on February 9th, Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren got sent to the Phoenix Suns for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And 4 of them were unprotected. Immediate thoughts, man. This is it's almost weird to think about, just because when you think about LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, it's almost like hard to believe that these people can be traded, because they are the superstars of the league.
Exactly, and I'm a Kevin Durant fan, but Kevin Durant's taking a lot of criticism for what he's tried to build in Brooklyn, starting with the James Harden experiment that didn't work out, and then all of Kyrie's public problems, or whatever you want to call it, off the court issues that he's had. It just hasn't been a good look on Kevin Durant. You forget 2 years ago he was a toe away from making from beating the
one
Milwaukee
shoe
Bucks.
size.
Yeah, and the Nets. I thought the Nets could compete with just Kevin Durant after the Kyrie trade, because they had a solid team around him. But Kyrie, after the game, said yesterday he's just happy he got out of there, and I heard that they were also talking about leaving Brooklyn after their first year together, and they didn't even play the first year.
Right.
So that must tell you something about how the management and the ownership in Brooklyn really is, and just how hard it is to manage superstars and personalities these days.
Yeah.
The Suns, the Suns have been through their work, I guess,
right.
This season. They started off the season really good. Devin Booker goes down, and they have a lot of off-the-court issues. DeAndre Ayton, from the start, he didn't want to be there even once the offseason hit.
He signed with the Pacers.
Yeah, and all of those problems have really reflected on their record. With that being said, you had Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren. I'm sure everybody who's on that team now is a very happy person. They wake up with a new energy inside of them, because you gotta believe they're got to be considered a top 3 favorite now.
They immediately went from just playoff teams for us, I think we both had them as play-in winners.
Yeah.
Just because it feels like Chris Paul and Devin Booker haven't been on the court together this season.
Yep.
And at the beginning of the year, Chris Paul was hurt. Booker was carrying them. He had them as a top 3 seed. And then Booker goes down. Chris Paul steps in.
Yeah.
And they're not a top 3 seed, but he's keeping them afloat. This changes the entire outlook for this Suns team for me, because for the Suns team, they were just trying to trade Chris Paul for Kyrie.
Yeah.
Now they bring in Kevin Durant.
Exactly.
I think their lineup now is Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, T.J. Warren, and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
This is an amazing trade. I don't think Kevin Durant's going to catch any slack if this team underperforms this year.
No.
Just because he's walking into a new system. But I believe in Monty Williams. as you mentioned, a lot of these super teams fail because they don't have the foundation and the coaching.
Exactly.
And I believe that's why like Eric Spoelstra and and Steve Kerr, he's able to bring these other
Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, they're able to deal with star players and have that team perform at a high level and win championships. Tyronn Lue not as much, but I mean these guys you need the right coach, right? Because this Nets team, they had Steve Nash, first time coach.
Yeah.
Then they bring in Jacques Vaughn, who's a way better coach, but by that time, the mojo was already ruined in Brooklyn. Everyone just wanted to get out.
Right.
There's a lot of internal issues that we saw a lot as fans, but or we heard a lot as fans, and we obviously didn't get the whole story.
Exactly.
But for Phoenix, I mean, like you said, they go from play-in team to title contenders.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be up there now with the Clippers for me. I don't even know if the Clippers would beat this team 7-game series, but I mean, the trade deadline's not over. Clippers can still make a move.
Exactly.
But,
well, speaking of Clippers, they did make a move.
Eric Gordon, or did they just make one?
No, that Eric Gordon move, but they also they sent John Wall to Houston, and Luke Kennard is now part of the Grizzlies. That was a 3-team trade.
That just happened?
It happened a few minutes ago, and I mean the Lakers made a trade as well. I don't know if you want to hear that one now.
Okay. Well then, are we done talking about the Brooklyn trade, or I mean, basically, what are your expectations for Brooklyn moving forward?
I think Brooklyn was trying to find pieces that'll still help them manage the Eastern Conference, at least for this year. They don't want to, completely fall out of the play-in picture. They were the 4th seed. I think the Cavs just actually surpassed them I think they're a game back at the 3rd seed now. So they're the 5th seed. I think they want to try and stay in that 5 to 8 range.
Mm-hmm.
If they fall to 9, they still have the chance for the play-in. I think the Nets, probably this offseason, they're going to be dumping a lot of guys and trying to get picks back to resurrect their future that they had traded, or that they originally traded for James Harden. Ben Simmons are probably going to look to get off of him too, so they'll have cap room and flexibility. The Nets, obviously, the front office, everything that they've been through, they just kind of, they're just known for disappointing. So
yeah, I mean, they've had that super team, quote unquote, with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, Darren Williams, and they failed. And then they get Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Then they bring in James Harden, and they failed. Then they bring in Ben Simmons. Now they've had a lot of injuries and stuff go bad, but this Nets team, I think they just need to go back to what they were doing with D'Angelo Russell and that young group of guys and just draft the right way. And I mean, when you're getting 4 first-round picks, Chris Paul's not going to be around by 2029.
No, he's not.
I mean, Devin Booker's probably going to be at the peak of his game, but who knows if Kevin Durant or Devin Booker are even going to be there.
Exactly.
So, but I did also say that, I saw that it sucks that Mikal Bridges was like that. He was that franchise guy who was like the fan favorite. A lot of people were upset to see him go. But
yeah, and I mean, complete side note, and this is just rumors. I also saw, I can't remember if it was. I think it was actually Brian Windhorst. Floated around the idea that Kyrie and Kevin Durant, them parting ways in Brooklyn didn't mean that they were done trying to play together for their careers. He threw out the idea that Kyrie could very well just sign with the Phoenix Suns this offseason. And I mean, I'm telling you, a team of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Kyrie Irving. I mean, you don't need much else around that. But I mean, you also throw in that you do have DeAndre Ayton under contract for the next 3 years after this.
That's also the thing. Is not that DeAndre Ayton's on the level of player of Kyrie,
right?
But Dallas Mavericks were in the running. They were trying to sign DeAndre Ayton. They gave him the same contract as the Pacers.
Yeah.
So I mean, they obviously like DeAndre Ayton, and if they did a sign and trade with Kyrie this offseason, that would Chris Paul would probably resign, and that would make that team even more dangerous.
Exactly.
Like a 2K team. But is there any big trades that just happened or any big names, or do we want to just quickly run through these next couple?
I mean, there's a big team that was involved.
Okay,
the Lakers.
The Lakers, yes.
They traded Pat Bev to the Magic for Mo Bamba.
Wow.
They get front court depth.
Wow.
Thomas Bryant trade,
that's a really good trade. So Pat Bev just straight up, or is there some draft compensation in there?
Second round draft compensation that they got earlier during the Thomas Bryant deal. So they get Mo Bamba out of that. So
we were just so very quickly. The next trade up on February 9th was the Thomas Bryant. One of the trades this morning was Thomas Bryant got traded to the Denver Nuggets for 3 second-round picks and Devon Reed.
Yeah.
It was very questionable. Like, the Lakers were getting 3 second-round picks for a young guy that they signed with no expectations, and they let him grow, and he's had a career year, at least.
He's had some really big games for them.
Right, and maybe not numbers-wise, but productivity. I mean, it's his best year as a pro, and it was a very questionable move, but that solves it. They bring in Mo Bamba, who's probably not that much better this year, but he's a tier above talent-wise, I think.
He's an elite defender, and he can hit
shoot
the
a little
three
bit,
ball,
yeah. He's very. I'm gonna say he's in a Jaren Jackson Jr. tier of blocking.
Yeah.
Where it's like they just jump at everything. They're block happy. They're like Hassan Whiteside from years ago. They're gonna get the statistical numbers, and that's a very interesting trade. But another trade happened.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Spurs traded Josh Richardson to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh, they're a very interesting team.
Yeah.
For just a second, what are we looking at here?
The trade details haven't fully emerged yet. I'm sure that it's probably just draft compensation or that 13th man.
I mean, to be completely honest, I was going to actually I was planning on coming to this podcast and pitching that the New Orleans Pelicans were my Kevin Durant team. For this offseason.
Yeah.
Because they have a bunch of picks. I think they have 16 in the next couple years, first-round picks. They have the young talent, and they can go out and trade a Brandon Ingram for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So it just made sense for the Nets, and for both sides, really. But they bring in Josh Richardson last year of his deal.
Yeah, they brought in Josh Richardson, and they sent away Devontae Graham in a 2023 second rounder, I believe. So
who cares?
Yeah,
who cares? Devontae Graham is about as inconsistent as you can be.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had a good year last year, but there was a lot more opportunity with the injuries to Zion.
Exactly.
So he got a lot more shots up, and you're bringing in a 3-and-D guy, Josh Richardson, which we never really know 100% what we're going to get from him. I remember I was really excited when he went to Philly, but I mean, Josh Richardson, nonetheless, he's that wing that can guard those guards, right? He helps out C.J. McCollum in the backcourt, and it's the perfect fit for their stars.
It is, yeah. He's I know they like Herb Jones, but it'll be really elite probably bringing Herb Jones off the bench. And then, you have Josh Richardson sliding into that starting role because he can play just as good, he may be a tier below what Herb Jones can do on defense, but he can hit, like you said, he can hit the outside shot. He's a little bit more versatile on offense.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them versatility. I mean, Josh Richardson, he can hit the 3-ball probably a little bit better than Herb Jones, but Herb Jones is all NBA defender.
Yeah.
Gives them a lot of versatility, a lot more defense to that Pelicans team that they already have. So I like that trade for the Pelicans.
Yep.
But for the next trade, Jalen McDaniels in a 3-team deal was traded to Philly with 2 second-round picks. Matisse Thybulle went to Portland to to replace Josh Hart. And Svi Mikhailiuk went to the Hornets for 2 second-round picks as well. I mean, Svi Mikhailiuk, he could shoot, and that's pretty much all we know about him. At this point, he's just a journeyman, and he's a contract.
Yeah.
I think he's only making about $2 million a year. So he can shoot, and who knows? Change of scenery could be anything, or it could be it all for somebody.
Yeah.
Same thing with Matisse Thybulle. I mean, he wasn't even playing in Philly.
No, he wasn't
this year. So I mean, a change of scenery, going to Portland, being that wing they need to defend. They have a lot of wings over there, but maybe he can find something. Maybe a change of scenery is all he needs.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing here is Jalen McDaniels. He's the lengthy wing. He's going to bring that PJ Tucker defense to the Sixers.
He is.
And I mean, I'm not too familiar with his offensive game. I know he's a great lengthy defender.
I know he's a better offensive player than Matisse Thybulle.
Right.
That's all they were looking for.
Right, and I think that's all that matters. But next trade, which was a trade I was mad as a Cavs fan. Josh Hart went to the Knicks.
Yep.
And the Blazers, they received Cam Reddish and Svi Mikhailiuk and Ryan Arcidiacono. I don't know how to say his name. Whatever.
I think that's right.
But Portland got Cam Reddish for Josh Hart. They also got a protected first-round pick.
Yeah.
As a Cavs fan, I was mad because the Cavs, our best 3 is probably Isaac Okoro or Cedi Osman.
Yeah, and
we could have used the Cam Reddish.
Exactly. Yeah. For as far as these two teams go, I'm not really sure what Josh Hart brings to New York. That they didn't have already. They have gritty wings. Josh Hart is probably a below average shooter on that team that doesn't have a team full of elite shooters. He can rebound, he can play defense, but he's not somebody who's going to come in and get you 15 and 5. He might get you like 10 and 5.
Right.
I think they just really misuse Cam Reddish. I think I've said it before on the pod. Cam Reddish he's a talent that you put him in the right system, he can really take off for you.
Yeah.
I think he'll flourish alongside Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard as well as Jeremy Grant. I mean,
yeah.
You space the floor out for him and give him an opportunity, and he's a really good defender. The Blazers really hit on this and the Matisse Thybulle trade. Maybe they lack a little bit of offense in that Matisse trade, but he's a defensive specialist, second team all defense for 2 years in a row. Like I said, I'm not really sure what the Knicks were trying to do right here.
Right.
I guess other than get friends of Jalen Brunson, which I guess the Jalen Brunson experiment's been working out with them. But I really like this for them.
I guess I would just say for Portland, like we said, they get a lot of versatility. They get more wings. Off the bench now. At that 3 spot, you can run Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, Shaedon Sharpe. You have a lot of options there at that 3 spot.
Yeah.
And if not, 2 of those guys can come off the bench, and Cam Reddish and Shaedon Sharpe can be your 1-2 punch off the bench, which they're bucket getters. So
yeah.
that's what they're going to do best. And for New York, I guess that is the prototype Tom Thibodeau guy. There's a Josh Hart that's going to play gritty defense. He's not going to demand anything, and he's just going to play his role. But he kind of reminds me of Luol Deng.
Yeah.
Next trade was a 3-teamer with the Milwaukee Bucks getting a Jay Crowder. Brooklyn got 5 second-round picks.
Yep.
And Indiana got Jordan Nora, which he's underrated offensively. 2 second-round picks and Serge Ibaka, which randomly, Serge Ibaka demanded a trade. So it was weird to see that. But the biggest thing here for me is Milwaukee traded 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder. What do you think about that?
I think they were with the situation happening with the Nets. The Nets probably knew, or the Nets knew when they were getting Jay Crowder back in the deal that there was no need for them to keep Jay Crowder. It's not like they're a contender anymore. They probably will be lucky to just walk into the playoffs.
Right.
So they figure, like I said before, let's re-up on our future capital. Mm-hmm. And, if we can get 5 second rounders and maybe flip that in some other trade later down the line, we can do that. But, they gave Jay Crowder to the Bucks. And, with this trade deadline, there are a lot of teams trading within the same conference.
Yes, which is weird.
It is weird.
Even in the NFL, doesn't matter what sport, teams typically won't trade with the same division or conference.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that a lot here in today.
Yeah.
The next one, it'll probably be your favorite trade of the day, unless we get a crazy one. The Lakers, they received D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. The Timberwolves acquired Mike Conley, 3 second-round picks, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah.
Utah received Russell Westbrook, which they're expected to buy out. A first-round pick in 2027, Juan Toscano Anderson, and Damian Jones. Just pick one team and go with it. I assume you want to go with the Jazz or the Lakers here.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go with the Lakers because I feel like the Jazz are pretty self-explanatory.
Yes.
The Lakers, I believe this was the first move that they made yesterday before the Thomas Bryant and before the Mo Bamba trades. At first, I was kind of like, I'm not really sure how it'll work because Jared Vanderbilt, he's a good rebounder and good, wing to small, big defender, but he doesn't give you anything on offense.
Right.
Malik Beasley, they try and play him at the 3, and he's 6'4", and he's inconsistent when it comes to 3-point shooting. And D'Angelo Russell, I'm a huge D'Lo fan. I've liked D'Lo since he was drafted out of Ohio State. And the reason why it didn't really work in Minnesota at the beginning of the season is because they were trying to have him play the point, and he has expressed to the management at the time that he's more of a he feels he's more of a 2 guard. He doesn't want to, control the whole offense. He wants to get his buckets when he can. So when I saw this trade, I was like, D'Lo, is he a better defender than Russ? No.
Right.
Can he catch and shoot? That's not really his game. What's his offensive play style? He's a pick and roll ball handler, much like Russ was. But I think that with other trades coming out today, the Lakers, there are a lot of Western Conference teams that made a lot of moves today that probably overshadow what the Lakers have done. And, if the Lakers weren't already 5 games under 500 in a really tough Western Conference right now, I'd say they have a good as chance as anybody, especially if they can make it past the play-in. But it'll be tough, especially because we have to see how this team forms and gels together for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of just funny because we all remember D'Angelo Russell was drafted by the Lakers.
Yeah.
And he was, after a scandal with Nick Young, he was ended up traded away to Brooklyn, where he built those fun teams in Brooklyn, became an all-star as well. But the Lakers, I think this is perfect for them. The biggest thing here for me for the Lakers was Jared Vanderbilt. I think he's going to be able to give them a lot of versatility in the front court. He could play the 5, in my opinion. He's a lengthy defender, very underrated in my opinion. And Russell's just going to give them more shooting than Russ. Or D'Angelo Russell was going to give them more shooting than Russell Westbrook.
Right.
But for the Utah, like you said, it was self-explanatory. They got a first-round pick. They have a couple expiring contracts, 3 of them here in this deal. And they're just looking to build for the future. So they took on Russ for a first-round pick, and they're probably going to buy him out or cut him. I guess we never know with Utah. But then for Minnesota, they got Mike Conley, 3 seconds, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Mike Conley, good veteran point guard. We know D'Lo didn't want to be there. He kept sick. There's a bunch of viral videos of him telling other people after games to, hey, come get me.
Yeah.
But Mike Conley, expiring deal if it doesn't work out. You can wash your hands and start someone else next year.
Yeah.
And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe that's him. Maybe he's that guy for them next year. We thought we would see more in New Orleans from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but he just hasn't showed it. And that's really it. The biggest thing there was Russell for Russell.
Yep. Yeah. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the Jazz, it'll probably be a matter of days when they buy out Russ or, like you said, cut him. And then, there has actually been a lot of teams, interested in at least signing Russ if he gets bought out. A lot more teams than expected than what the media and everything made out for it. That was like Chicago, Miami, the Clippers, and a few other teams. I personally like to see him go to Miami, just give him the best chance to win. And whatever happens, happens.
The biggest thing there for me is that, I think if he goes to Miami, it all depends on what Russ wants to do. I think if he wants to be a starter, I think a team like the Clippers would maybe explore that because he had success with Paul George. And it's hard not to be able to work with Kawhi Leonard.
Exactly.
He can go there if he wants to start. If he wants to be a bench player, he might come off the bench for a team like Miami, they do have Kyle Lowry and they need some bench depth there.
Yeah.
Come off the bench with VO. Reunite the 2017 Thunder team. But February 9th, I don't know why I say that. But the Raptors, they received Jakob Poeltl, one of the biggest dominoes we expected to be traded this trade deadline. He got traded for Kem Birch in a 2024 first and 2 seconds for the Spurs. The Spurs, I don't understand really why they would trade a Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah.
I believe he's young enough, and he's not one of those guys that he hasn't demanded out.
Right.
And he's not a head case. He's a good locker room guy. It seems like everybody loves him in San Antonio. I guess they just didn't want to pay him, and they didn't want to get stuck with that contract.
Yeah, and even for the Raptors, you say if they end up trading, I know Fred VanVleet and OG and literally everybody on the team is up for trade right now. So if they do decide to blow it up in the next 23 minutes, the trade doesn't really make sense for them either. But who knows?
I think this really solidifies that they are staying pat and they're not going to trade OG or Pascal because now they have Fred VanVleet. Gary Trent still. They still have OG Pascal, and now they have a way better center in Jakob Poeltl. But that's pretty much it there. Jakob Poeltl, excited to see what he could do probably with more opportunity in Toronto. But 2 seconds for Bones Highland. Do you have anything to say about that? The Clippers received Bones Highland for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I think it's a steal for the Clippers.
Yeah, I think this is a really good steal for the Clippers because with the Nuggets, Bones brought a lot of energy off the bench, a lot of shooting, and a lot of playmaking. His defense leaves a little to be desired, but luckily he's going to a team that plays really good team basketball, team offense, and team defense. Even their 2 stars don't really operate outside of the system that they have there. Bones is a really, really good pickup for the Clippers. The Clippers have a lot of depth already. So you add, Bones to a rotation. It's scary because, come playoffs, they won't even need to really shrink their rotation. They could run, 4 guys off the bench, and there won't be a significant drop off from 6th man to 10th man. So
right,
it's a really underrated pickup for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a steal for them. And, I mean, you're only paying them $2 million. So it's like,
Right.
if it doesn't work out, you gave up 2 seconds, you took a chance, right? And they need a point guard, and why not take a chance on Bones Highland?
Yeah.
It's a very surprising move. I don't like it for the Nuggets at all. But, again, it's one of those situations where they probably just didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
The next trade, the Suns acquired Darius Baisley for Dario Saric in a second. I don't understand this move for the Thunder, but he wasn't really in the rotation. I guess you just didn't want to pay him. I don't think he's up for contract, though.
No.
But the Suns, I mean, they get another young wing, and they're rebuilding or they have another bench piece, I guess.
Yeah. That one's pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
Darius Baisley, he's also, like you said, he's younger than Dario Saric. You figure he can develop into a really, really nice rotational piece after losing Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder. So.
I absolutely hate him. He's a Seminole. So I'm a Gators fan. But the next one, Saddiq Bey went to Atlanta. Golden State received 5 second-round picks, and Detroit acquired James Wiseman. Side note here before we get into it. We've seen so many 3-team trades already,
Yeah, we have,
and it feels like, in real life you never see 3-team trades, and we're just seeing them everywhere here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for here, big trade happened?
I mean, it's a solid trade.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a sec. Golden State, they received 5 seconds, whatever. They're building up for more draft capital, right?
Yeah.
They gave away James Wiseman. They washed their hands with that. James Wiseman, he needs a change of scenery.
For sure.
He's going to get that in Detroit, where he's going to get a lot more shots. And,
I think he'll really be able to show people why he was the number 2.
Yes, number 2 pick. Yeah.
And he in high school he was really good. Memphis before he decided
only played a couple games.
Yeah, before he decided to work out for the draft, he showed flashes. And even his rookie year before he tore his meniscus, he looked like that big that Golden State needed for the future. Obviously his development kind of took a stall after Golden State has a championship run and they're looking to do anything to win now. I'm not sure. I mean, they get 5 seconds out of that. I'm not sure that I feel like they probably should have got at least a player out of it.
Right.
But, he wasn't in a rotation anyway, and I think once Cade comes back and you have Jaden Ivey, but even with Jalen Duren is a really good player for the Pistons too. So I'm not, hopefully James Wiseman can improve, but if he doesn't, the Celtics or the Pistons do have that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jalen Duren, and then they also have Isaiah Stewart. I mean, I guess they just made this trade to say, okay, maybe he has some floor flexibility, or maybe next year comes, and I think next year Isaiah Stewart would be up for contract. So if they don't want to pay him, they can throw a low ball at James Wiseman and keep him for some years to come.
Yeah.
When we first got the notification, I thought Golden State received Saddiq Bey, and I was going to say that's a perfect fit. That's another guy I wanted the Cavs to get, which we've been very quiet so far.
Yeah, I think they said that they told Karis LeVert this morning that they weren't trading him. So I mean, I think the biggest thing the Cavs said they were going to do was
Kevin Love, maybe
buy out Kevin Love. So
we'll have to see where he. Well, we know he's going to LA. I mean, we don't even have to ask. But I mean, I like this trade for all 3 teams, I guess, besides Golden State. But Saddiq Bey, I think that might be the best. Atlanta won here. I think they won this trade.
Yeah. You want me to say
next trade? Yeah. Go ahead and read that next trade, because the next couple ones like Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando for Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky. Rockets and Atlanta. There are a bunch of just young people getting switched. Nothing big there, and we'll get into these two in a second. Yeah,
so the Clippers they traded Reggie Jackson to Charlotte for Mason Plumlee. So Mason Plumlee's been a really quality center for Charlotte. They get Bones Highland earlier in the trade.
I was gonna say they also had Eric Gordon.
Yeah, they got Eric Gordon. I'm sure they, if
like
that's the case, if they're getting rid of Reggie Jackson, who I thought was more safe or safer than John Wall, then they might actually try and make a good run at Russ if he gets bought out or whatever.
And I think they probably think that's going to happen because
to
get rid of Reggie Jackson, where he's not always the most consistent player, he's not always the best option, but he's like the heart and soul of that team sometimes. And it's like when they went to the Western Conference Finals with PG, he was the second man. He was their second guy, and Trey Mann some nights, but. I mean, Reggie Jackson, that's a very surprising move, but it's like 2K. I mean, the Clippers are building their bench. They got Mason Plumlee, Bones Highland, Eric Gordon. It gives them a lot of flexibility for their starters as well. I mean, they still are holding on to Zubac.
Yeah.
And he was a name that was kind of rumored to be moved, but, I mean, off the bench, I mean, they're probably at this point, I think, going to cut John Wall.
He got traded to Houston.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, I mean, I like what the Clippers are doing today. I
Yeah.
mean, in all honesty.
Really solid moves.
Right. Just really adding to the point that we made at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
That they are the title favorites.
Yeah.
I think we're sticking with that. But as we mentioned, John Wall and Danny Green were traded to Houston from the Clippers. The Clippers received Eric Gordon and 3 second-round picks, and Memphis acquired Luke Kennard. The biggest question mark is Luke Kennard for me because I don't know how he's going to fit in with the Memphis team.
Yeah,
he just doesn't seem to be that in-your-face type of guy.
I mean, they have shooters on that Memphis, or they needed another shooter on the Memphis team. But I tell you, Luke Kennard doesn't bring a lick of defense to any team, which may be why Eric Gordon's Eric Gordon. He's only 6'3", but he's a really sturdy defender.
Yeah,
he's
a brick wall.
Older. Yeah. So Luke Kennard going to Memphis, like I said, I mean, they needed a shooter, but, once the playoffs start and they start, abusing the shooter in the pick and rolls and mismatches, it's going to be tough to play him. The Rockets just took the salary dumps with Danny Green and John Wall, so there was nothing much there.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, they had a little reunion with John Wall, I guess, even though...
I think they already said they were going to waive him. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to joke around when you first brought that trade up that said... Harden was kind of linked to go back to Houston after this season. So I was like, maybe they finally give that backcourt a chance. But they're a young team. They just got salary dumped. They got off of Eric Gordon, who didn't want to be there. And I just recognized it. Eric Gordon's got a little bit of a homecoming.
Yeah,
going back to the Clippers.
Yeah, after 12 years.
Yeah, right, where that was his best days. And we already talked about this Lakers trade. So actually what I did is over on the Instagram account on your screen now, if you don't follow the page, what are you doing? Go over there, follow the page. I posted an update. I posted just a post. And I said, if you guys wanted to participate in today's show, it's still open. So if you guys are listening and you want to, go ahead and go to my Instagram, see my latest post, and just follow the instructions. But basically, I asked you guys to send me a voice message about anything that's gone on today, any trade that's happened this season, or just your thoughts on it, whatever. And we have one coming in from AJ here where he is talking about the Nets. I'm going to give you guys a listen here if I can actually use my phone the right way. But here we go. We're going to take a listen to AJ and his thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets.
Do you think the Nets go from here? Do they trade like Mikal Bridges or Dinwiddie away to this rebuild, even though they're like a top 5 seed, or do they just retool? What do you think?
All right, well, I will, start this here. He's basically asking, what do they do with Mikal Bridges? What do they do with Dinwiddie? Dinwiddie is in, what do the Brooklyn Nets do? Yeah. To be honest, I mean, Mikal Bridges is not the youngest guy, right? And if they do want to pursue this youth movement in Brooklyn, he necessarily probably doesn't fit, especially at $20 million a year.
Yeah.
But I think right now he's going to be the top trade target for next year's trade deadline. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. I mean, he was the oldest rookie in his class, and he just got hurt this season. So we'll have to see how he bounces back next year. Dinwiddie. I mean, he's got a homecoming in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's made his debut yet.
No.
But those three guys, I mean, to be honest, I believe I don't want to say blow everything up, right? Because they kind of already have.
Yeah.
But I think Mikal Bridges is an all-NBA defender. I mean, he's going to be again this season, despite whatever happens to Brooklyn. I wish Brooklyn could still be a fun team. They're still the 5 seed. But in my opinion, to be completely honest, I think I would rather see them go with a youth movement. I'd rather see them, if it comes down to it, and they need to trade Mikal Bridges for, let's say they can get the number 2 pick for Scoot Henderson or a Vic, if some crazy trade happens. If they can go out and get a top 3 guy in this draft, I would make that trade. I would maybe trade a Dinwiddie in future assets, or maybe even a Mikal Bridges, because these younger teams would take a Mikal Bridges, I think.
Yeah, I think for the Nets, like you were just saying, they're probably they're gearing towards blowing up for the future.
Yeah.
Like I said, this isn't the last of the trade we've seen of the Nets. Even if they don't make another trade before the deadline, the Nets are probably going to be really active in the offseason. Just getting rid of some of those guys that we mentioned, like Cam Thomas and Dinwiddie might be on a move, because I believe Houston has their first round pick this year.
They do, and that's what I was going to question.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why they probably didn't go all out as far as, if they still had their pick this year, maybe you would see them start really clearing house and showing up with a G League team every night. But then, you also, like we said, they are the 5th seed. They would have to drop all the way to the 11th seed just to not be considered to even make the playoffs.
Right.
So they definitely wanted to keep a team that could somewhat compete this year, at least for a playoff spot. And I think we'll obviously see a lot of movement from them.
I'm just going to come out and say it. As a Cavs fan, I couldn't be happier Brooklyn blew it up.
Yeah.
Strictly for the reason that the Cavs are almost guaranteed a home court spot now.
Yeah.
As long as we take care of business. But to get back to your question, I think we both want to see them just go back to a youth movement. Go back and build a fun team.
Yeah.
You are New York. You're going to be able to attract free agents, even though their reputation right now with the front office is kind of tarnished, I guess, because you just had 2 top 15 players leave.
Yeah, just 2 generational players.
Yeah, and they both said they both had bad remarks on the franchise. I mean, Kevin Durant, this is the second time he's, I guess, requested a trade.
Yeah.
And Kyrie, he's been trying to get out since you said like first year. So I think right now you got to just build your reputation back up. You got to build some young pieces and go. Let's say Houston gets the number 2 pick. They already have Kevin Porter and they already have Jalen Green. Maybe they don't take a chance on Scoot Henderson if they don't want to. If they don't want to pay Kevin Porter, but if they do, which I don't know if they have they paid Kevin Porter?
No.
But if let's say a team like Houston or a team that has guards like the Hornets, if they get the number 2 pick, if they don't want to use it, maybe trade a team like the Hornets, Mikal Bridges, or maybe flip the same package you got of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson to get a possible generation player in Scoot Henderson. But to answer your question, just in short, go for a rebuild. Don't try and stay in that purgatory like the Pacers.
Yeah. There actually was another trade that went down.
Okay.
Smaller trade, but it's for another team. It's also a homecoming trade. Gary Payton Gary Payton gets traded for 5 second-rounders. He goes back to Golden State. So
wow.
Yeah.
I was actually just gonna bring it up that this trade was updated. The James Wiseman, Sadiq Bey, and 5 second-round pick trade.
Yeah.
Golden State, I guess, is now getting Kevin Knox in return. So it's nothing.
He's a 15th man.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of just like, hey, if you want this to go through, you got to take Kevin Knox from us.
Yeah.
But you said, read that trade off just one more time. You basically said that Gary Payton's going back to Golden State for 5 seconds.
Yep. And
this is
funny. The Kevin Knox is actually. The Warriors are routing Kevin Knox to the Blazers. So
Kevin Knox is on the move again.
Yeah, he's going to the Trailblazers as part of the Gary Payton trade.
And and the Blazers already picked up like 3 or 4 wings this trade deadline. They're probably just going to cut Kevin Knox, and we're going to forget he's even in the NBA until next year when he shows up in a blowout. But this trade deadline's like 2K to me. Just because it's funny, because it's like we're seeing a lot of people or a lot of trades that are happening where teams are receiving a certain package or player, and they're immediately flipping that for another player. Like the Warriors just received 5 second-round picks in that James Wiseman trade.
Right.
Now they're going to get Gary Payton. He's that Alex Caruso guy for them.
Right.
Surprising move, I guess, from the Blazers, but the Blazers have picked up some guard/wings here today. So I guess
a big, so.
Yeah, they do. They still do need a big.
Yeah.
Nurkic is not going to do it for them. But I mean, wow. I mean, we only have about 8 minutes left. I'm not sure if something else will happen.
Yeah.
At least nothing big. But I'm kind of hoping for like a Zach LaVine, just blockbuster.
I think they were saying that he was supposed to. The Knicks and the Bulls were having conversations. Once again, I'm not really sure what's happening, because these are 2 Eastern Conference teams, 2 teams. The Knicks are obviously battling for home court, and why would you trade? Why would Chicago? I mean, I'm sure the only contract that matches right now is RJ Barrett. I'm not really sure. What that would benefit from both teams. Zach LaVine. he doesn't really live up to his contract, especially because
Not
you
this
say
year.
in 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. He's going to be making $50 million a year. And folks, let me tell you, if people were criticizing Russell Westbrook for making $44.7 million this year, and playing the way he did, Zach LaVine, it's going to be a lot worse, especially if he's in a large market, because $50 million a year is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Zach LaVine linked to pretty much every single contender, I guess, that needs guard play with the Lakers or the Clippers. He's been linked to a bunch of teams. We know what kind of scoring Zach LaVine can bring.
Yeah.
It's just he's been turning kind of his game into more of like a shot chucker.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to be the number one guy, because we've seen in the last 2 years where he's been good, but he's just not played the level that we think Zach LaVine could play in Chicago. Obviously, they have DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
So.
I think Zach LaVine as a number one option kind of reminds me of Devin Booker before Chris Paul.
Yeah.
He's going to put up stats as the number one option. You can't deny it. And when he's your number one option and you aren't really winning that many games, he looks like a bona fide max contract player. But then you get him in a situation where you do get a seasoned DeMar DeRozan. This is the best DeMar DeRozan that's played for his career. But as far as peak DeRozan, as far as physicality and everything like that goes, those are in his Raptors days, and he's come over to Chicago and really taken over as the number one option from Zach LaVine. So, maybe a change of scenery helps, but it's going to be hard because of that contract right there.
Yeah, I'm still in awe, man. There's 4-team trades going down. There's 3-teamers. There's a bunch of 2-teamers that are going down today. It seems like this is one of the most chaotic trade deadlines in the last couple years.
Yeah.
I can't believe I still can't believe Kevin Durant just got traded. Like it's crazy that a player like Kevin Durant can't be traded.
I feel like the Kyrie trade is going. Obviously for good reason.
Yeah,
it's going unnoticed now because a lot of those, it doesn't matter. Kevin Durant's not on the Nets anymore. But Kyrie looked really good with the Nets, with the Mavericks last night.
24 points, I think.
Yeah, 24. And I know nobody on the Clippers shot over 50%, and they had an off shooting game, and the Mavericks did get out to a good start. But that's just one of the trades. It's just like, well, Kyrie's on the Mavericks, and watching him in the Mavericks uniform, it didn't look right, but it got the result that they wanted.
Right.
I still think they're going to need, especially with guys like Kevin Durant in the West now, they're definitely going to need some wing defender play, because if you go up against Phoenix in a playoff series with the Dallas Mavericks, it's like, yeah, they have the guard play, but the Suns have that wing play, and when you have a maestro like Chris Paul leading the way, he doesn't even need to get you double-digit points. He's a game manager, and that's what makes them really dangerous.
Yeah, it seems like the Mavericks. I understand they want to play that 5 out, and they want to play Reggie Bullock at the 4. But I don't know. You can't put Reggie Bullock on T.J. Warren, let alone Kevin Durant in a playoff series.
Yeah, you can't. So
they got to figure that out. And
he doesn't hit enough threes on offense to justify having him in there for long periods of time.
Right.
He would be like the reason the Knicks had him. That he was better coming off the bench. You didn't ask him to do as much. Nobody considers Reggie Bullock a number one defender on the team.
No.
Yeah, I don't even know if you count him as a top 5 defender on your team. So
never.
In
high school.
Yeah, maybe, but it's. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, to be honest, like you said, it's kind of going under the radar, and we thought Kyrie would be like the biggest name to fall on this trade deadline, but Kyrie going to the Mavericks, we still haven't seen Luka and him play together. I believe they play either tonight or tomorrow, but it'll be interesting to see when those two get to play together. It's also going to be interesting to see this All-Star draft.
A lot of Eastern Conference guys in the West. Now,
right. It's going to be it's almost going to be like it's like 8 Western Conference players.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fun All-Star game for sure. But, for the Mavericks, sneaky team I'm going to be biased here, sneaky team for Melo. They need wing play. They need a guy that could just be there and provide some veteran, just be there as a veteran. But, I don't know. It's obviously the Mavericks aren't looking for defenders. Melo's going to bring exactly that, but more scoring. Maybe I'm just a biased Melo fan trying to see him on a team.
That might be it.
I would like to see him in Phoenix. Phoenix would be a good team now with Kevin Durant, T.J. Warren. Chris Paul is one of his best friends. But yeah, I mean, right now we're only at 2 minutes left until the trade deadline.
So if I can ask you, what's been your favorite trade so far?
I was literally just about to ask you that. I think the team that actually won the day, as crazy as it might sound, Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
I think Rob Pelinka might have won the day, just because he's under a lot of pressure right now with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I wanted to actually ask you about that, because there was Anthony Davis. He was sitting down when LeBron was about to break the record.
Yeah.
And he just looked uninterested all game. This post-game interview, he kind of didn't even want to talk about LeBron. He was just on to the next game. And like, do you think there's anything there? Do you think AD is jealous of LeBron, or do you think he's frustrated with his role there? And then we'll get back into your question. Sorry.
No, yeah. With Anthony Davis, I think it's a little bit of frustration of how the season has unraveled for him. He's having a really good season when he plays in most games. Other games, it feels like he takes a night off or treats it like an all-star game. But I believe I was reading some news, and it was saying that a lot of people on the team, I don't know if they knew about Russ getting traded or if they just kind of anticipated that it would be his last game. There was videos of Russell Westbrook during warm-ups. He wasn't even, he usually doesn't sit with the team, but it was really apparent that night. And, even the way, if anybody watched that LeBron record-breaking game,
right.
Russell Westbrook, let me tell you something. When LeBron was 2 points away, the possession before giving LeBron the ball, he actually took the shot by itself, and the crowd almost started booing. And he still played good. But I think that, and even Bryce James, LeBron's son, he posted Russell Westbrook trade news on his story. And he was not a fan of the trade. So I think there was a lot of love for Russ as far as the team goes. Which, it's a business. Everybody knew he was going to get moved. But Anthony Davis, I think he should probably be the next one to get moved. It's apparent that he doesn't really like the role. I don't believe he likes playing
second fiddle,
and it's hard to play second fiddle to a guy like LeBron, especially if you're not another perimeter player.
To be honest, I think it's his fault.
LeBron,
he went to Cleveland. He said, "I want Kyrie to take the keys."
Yeah,
Kyrie didn't really do that, but Kyrie's been, I think, the best overall teammate he's had, not probably talent wise.
Yeah,
that's Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
but or Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
But I think Anthony Davis, he was able to do it okay in the first year, and they won a championship. But since then, he lacks the aggression. And
that's why I say I think it's hard. It would be harder for him because Kyrie and Dwayne Wade, they were perimeter players, and I think it's if LeBron doesn't need the ball in his hands, he's fine. I think LeBron, he'd rather give up point guard duties or guard duties. Yeah. And it's, Anthony Davis, he isn't a guard. He needs the ball in his hands. And if, he's not the one taking the ball down the court, it's hard for him to get involved in the offense, especially because some nights he's just not aggressive. So I think he needs a new change of scenery, post-century.
Go to Chicago. Go to hometown. But no, to be completely honest, if LeBron's jealous of anybody, it's hard to be when you're LeBron James.
Yeah.
I think he's jealous of Kawhi Leonard, man. I think he is, just because of Kawhi's able to play 5 games, sit the next 10, play 7, sit the next 4.
I think most people are jealous of Kawhi
I think,
Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi's able to just step on the court and remind everybody, I'm him. I'm still a top 5 player when I'm playing.
Yeah.
Or top 10 at least. And it's, I think, like you said, everyone's jealous of Kawhi, but I know 38 years old, just breaking the scoring record. LeBron wants to be in Kawhi's shoes. But now that I've had some time to think about it, I think my number 2 winners would be the Lakers. Getting Mo Bamba, getting Rui Hachimura. Sure, you gave up Thomas Bryant, but you're able to bring in some good pieces. You brought in D'Angelo Russell. Probably my favorite piece is Jared Vanderbilt for this team. I think a lot of people are going to be able to see exactly what he's made of as a player. They get Malik Beasley, who can slide in as their 2. I think they are probably my second winners for the day, but my winner has to be the Suns. Strictly because, well, one, they got Darius Bazley. He's a nice bench piece for him. And they got Kevin Durant. Yeah. You can argue that he is the best player in the world. When I say so, I would probably, I won it. I would say Giannis and maybe then Jokic. But Kevin Durant's arguably the best player in the world. He's probably the best offensive talent we've ever seen ever touch a basketball. That's up for debate. But Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. He immediately takes his team from a playoff or play-in team to maybe the team to beat going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You add T.J. Warren, He's played with Phoenix before, right? When they had Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, he
and
did,
so another
where he got his-
homecoming.
And I think a sleeper team for me.
But yeah, Phoenix would be my winners. They got Kevin Durant. I mean,
Yeah.
they gave up 5 first-round picks, but they got Kevin Durant.
Sleeper team for me, probably I don't know if I put them at number one, just sleeper. It have to honestly be Milwaukee, getting Jay Crowder. That's a trade that goes under the radar, but then the playoffs come and you're like, oh, they got Jay Crowder? It was a really good pickup because, listen, Chris Middleton, he's been in and out all year.
Injuries,
and he hasn't really been that consistent when he's played. Giannis is Giannis, but he's even missed more games than he's missed in his career this season. And I mean, that's not a lot compared to what, like Kawhi or Paul George or, Luka misses this season, but it's a lot for his standards. And Drew Holiday, he's their all-star point guard, but, they bring in a piece like Jay Crowder. It'll really serve them well playing a team like Boston or something like that in the playoffs. You have somebody who can defend either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, and I mean they have shooters, so I think that was a really good pickup for them.
Yeah, I mean, like another. I'll ask this: like, who do you think lost the deadline? Who do you think team either they didn't make a trade or they just lost talent? I mean, the elephant in the room is the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
you lost 2 top 15 players. You are immediately going from being the 4 seed or the 5 seed right now to you're potentially out of the playoffs. I mean, you brought in 10 total picks. They had 5 first and 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So they rebuilt their draft capital. They brought in Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. I mean, I guess for what they lost, they did okay in return.
Yeah.
But I mean, you lost. You went from a title contender to probably a play-in team at best.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give 2 losers. I think I'll have 3 losers. There's just quick teams that
I got to think of my main one.
I think there's just teams that didn't make a move or lost talent. And number 1, I'm going with the Nuggets trading Bones Highland. They didn't get anything back for him.
2 seconds? Which doesn't matter for them.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing really good, but I think they'll find that, they're going to need another shot creator come the playoffs other than Jokic when Jokic goes on a bench. Another team that I think should have probably made another move was Memphis. Memphis has really been struggling. And I know Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. haven't been
What do
playing.
you mean? They brought in lethal, 50% 3-point shooter, Luke Kennard.
Yeah, but it doesn't help when you score 15 points, but your matchup has 35. So
that's true.
They needed just another 3-and-D wing to help out with Ja, help with some ball handling with Desmond Bane. And they didn't get it. They don't have any, really good backup bigs. And they've really been struggling as of late. And I was going to actually put the Cavs in there, but the Cavs have been playing really good. Yes. I think, they figured out the rotation. They got everybody healthy. Ricky Rubio has been really good since he's came back. And Dean Wade as well. They took Kevin Love out the lineup. Kevin Love's probably going to get bought out. Thank you for your contributions, but no thank you this year. They've really turned it around compared to what it looked like they were heading towards after a good start. It kind of looked like they're going to slip into that 6th range, maybe even a play-in spot. Mm-hmm. But they've really improved. So
yeah, a team that's kind of in the middle for me is Portland because we know they need a big, but they literally brought in 4 different wings or so. They brought in Matisse Thybulle, Cam Reddish. They got rid of Josh Hart. But, I mean, they brought in a bunch of wings and some picks, some protected first-round picks.
Yeah.
But they don't have a big still. And I think, not that we're looking at this team to be title contenders, but we know Dame can turn up at any time, and they are going to lack that big come playoff time. But, I mean, I think you really hit on it. The Nuggets are a loser. The Cavs are a loser to me, especially with a year like this where we could possibly turn this around. Or not turn it around, but I guess turn up. Yeah. Especially now that Brooklyn's out of the picture. We're guaranteed probably a top 4 spot now. But a Cam Reddish or a Josh Hart, that would have helped.
Push the needle to probably getting us a deeper, especially because you figure, I think if Boston and Milwaukee will probably meet in the conference finals, but if the seeding somehow happened and they took each other out before then, I mean, the Cavs probably could have had a kind of a cakewalk there.
And that's the thing. I mean, not that Boston's probably not the most complete team in basketball, but I think I'd rather play Boston than Milwaukee or even the Sixers just because we don't have – I mean, Jared Allen's good, but he's not Joel Embiid and he's not Giannis.
He plays really soft against any top-tier centers, guys.
Joel Embiid is his kryptonite because he gets in foul trouble in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really it. We have our winners, our losers. Trade deadline's been over for about 7 minutes now. We're going on about an hour for you guys. it's been fun. I mean, we had AJ reach out. Everybody else, shame on you for not reaching out. But I mean, anything else? Any last thoughts on this 2023 trade deadline?
It's been really chaotic. It'll be fun to see how the rest of the year plays out. It definitely was a lot bigger. I mean, obviously, Kevin Durant gets traded at 1 o'clock in the morning. When have you ever seen a generational, arguable top 15 player of all time get traded at 1 a.m., especially when they weren't even saying that he was on the market for a trade? It's been a fun ride, this trade deadline.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like, in complete honesty, it's been a fun deadline, especially because we thought it was going to be one of the most quiet deadlines in NBA history. And it's going to be one that I guess we'll remember. I mean, we're going to be back Tuesday. Maybe we'll let this sit for a couple days and maybe grade the trades. But, I mean, we'll be back Tuesday. Let us know what you guys think right now in the chat or just in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think about us going live for these shows. Mm-hmm. We've kind of just recorded these and uploaded them after they were already done. But let us know what you guys think about us going live. I think this might be a change for us, and I think it might be better for us going future. You guys are able to interact with us actually during the chat. So let us know what you guys think about that down below. And if you're good to go, I think I'm ready for this 2023 deadline.
Yeah.
I mean, this was, again, supposed to be one of the quietest, turned out to be one of the loudest. Great trade deadline. Excited to see where the Suns team can go. I think we both still sit on the Clippers side of the barn, I guess, or side of the saw, I guess, thinking they're the title favorites.
Yeah.
But the Suns are going to make it very interesting in the West. We still got Luka. In the East, the East is still stacked, even though a lot of talent's gone away.
Yeah.
Excited to see where it goes.
For sure.
If that's it, then we will see you guys on Tuesday, which we don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're going to be back Tuesday, normal time, probably around noon, or maybe a little bit earlier. But until then, stay happy, stay healthy. Thank you guys for coming out and watching the stream. It's been a crazy deadline, and we'll be back Tuesday with some